lifestyle and hospitality publicist. She's worked with companies like Glaze, Black Sea Bagels, and the Williamsburg Hotel, just to name drop a few.
She's an absolute PR guru, and she will take your brand from 0 to hero, which is something that I think good cooks might need. Please allow us to welcome our guest, Elizabeth Lehmann.
So happy to have you on the show.
Thrilled to be here.
We moved back to
Can everybody see us? We're all good? All right.
Can everyone hear us?
Yes.
Well, so please, can you tell us a little bit about your job and your company?
Sure, totally. So, as you mentioned, I'm a hospitality and lifestyle publicist. I work for a firm in Brooklyn called RBD Communications. We have 2 people in the audience from there.
Ooh,
We are a small female-led company. We're 20 women.
Yes.
And we do everything from representing chefs, restaurants, sex tech brands, everything. So really lifestyle, but hospitality is really my niche.
That's
Wonderful.
Awesome. How did you come to that job and this position as well?
So I've always loved food. I think that through traveling as a kid, traveling through kind of adolescence and then in college, learning that people could storytell with food was something that was really powerful for me. And I had a couple internships like early on in college that were all about food and events and learning how people could create something from telling their story with food. And so I was led into a more niche fine dining lifestyle PR firm. Started there and then made a switch over.
And just in reference to your actual job,
Yeah.
like in broader,
Would you?
in broader terms, like how would you describe that you actually help your clients? Like what are some things that services that you actually provide in your company?
Yeah, so we are a boutique agency, but that kind of covers everything from traditional PR, which is earned media, while advertising is paid media, to marketing, strategic brand partnerships, social media relations with influencers, graphic design, everything that kind of falls in between. So I think that we, although call ourselves a PR agency, we're definitely more of like an overarching creative agency, just because we do so many things and sometimes fit into roles that we didn't think we would.
All right.
Do you?
I guess I was going to ask, just to backtrack a little bit, in terms of like, how did you come into food though? Like, how did you come into food and how did you come into this, like, as a kid?
Yeah.
Were you always like, I could do this storytelling thing, or could I?
No. I think what I was most drawn to was like cooking with my mom, cooking with family friends. We have a family friend that was a food stylist. And I remember like dinner parties with them and then showing up and being like, wow, that's like a really cool like cake with chocolate ganache that I would have never thought could be a thing, or like fresh pasta with fresh summer sauce and things like that. And from maybe like age 8, my mom was part of when I was age 8, my mom was part of a club called the Shaken Bakers. And she would get together with friends and just do weird experiments with cookies, brownies, blondies, everything. And so we were just introduced to it at a young age. And then as I said, like as I traveled, I felt like people spoke the same language when they cooked and understood that from different cultures that food had to be a part of it because you survive on it, but the way that you kind of work with it differs wherever you go.
Are you still a regular cook?
Totally. I love
Do
to
you bake
cook.
as well?
Recently I've started getting into it, but I'm not so good.
What's something you baked recently?
I recently made a pumpkin bread for my friend who's sitting in there.
How was it?
It was so good.
Shameless plug. All right.
I really am bad at baking because I hate following directions. So
You're more of like an organic.
totally. They're like, oh, there's 20 ingredients in this. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use 30.
I'm more like I use 4.
Yeah. Like you never know what you're gonna get. I think that probably at least 5 people here have tasted something. They're like, oh god, just figure it out. So.
I think that we also have a handout.
Yeah, so Elizabeth was gracious enough to actually make a sample pitch for Chef Titus Mitchell, who you met, Titus Mitchell, based on the culinary conversation. So that pitch is going to come around to you. And in the meantime, while it's coming around, could you tell us about how to make a pitch and like what you do?
Essentially what a pitch is as a publicist, we write to journalists every day and say, hey, here's our client, they're doing cool stuff, do you want to write about it? Obviously in a more eloquent way than that. So we work together really collaboratively in teams on the different accounts that we work on to write compelling things that we think that people will find interesting. And a huge part of that is researching publications, researching specific writers, stalking people on Twitter, being like, what are you interested in and how can we fit into this? So this specific one was based on research that I had done on Titus. Caveat, I've never met him before, so it's not as well researched as something that I would do for an actual client, but working in a trend. We say that 3 is a trend, so if 3 people are doing something, it's something obviously a little bit more interesting for people. So if you read it, it's more like picking out what's cool about being a personal chef, what's cool about catering, why people are moving away from working in brick and mortar restaurants in New York to kind of doing their own thing and being able to flex their creative muscles, which I think is a verbatim quote that's in there. And yeah, and then basically like the process that happens from that is that goes to a journalist will either say yay or nay, and then you figure it out from there, whether that's coordinating interviews or photo shoots or whatever it is, and then our moneymaker is when it comes out in print and you see it and it says Titus Mitchell, personal chef extraordinaire, and it's in writing.
So usually it's Titus that would be paying, or like that chef would be paying you to do it.
Exactly. So chef, restaurant crew, anything like that.
Are there any like holy grail trades that you try to get these published in?
Like publications?
Yeah.
So depends. So like for someone like Titus, you would want Epicurean publications and New York local publications because that's what people that are interested in food and interested in what a personal chef in New York City does. So the New York Times food section, Suburb, Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, things like that, who I am proud to say that we have really fantastic relationships with and work with every day. So I think that also understanding that your colleagues and your agency is your resource as well, and you only add value as you continue to build those relationships. So that's something that I think I and my entire group of people that I work with strive to do every day, is make those connections and continue to hone in on those relationships so that we can continue to be successful.
Also,
yeah.
On that like researching and stuff trend, what are things you have to stay up on? And like what should we be staying up on?
As a layman, what should we read?
trendy.
I feel like if you're here, you're not a layman. You
We're trying not to be. Help us.
I think it depends. I am a real proponent of people reading what they're interested in, not what they're supposed to. I think that just like knowing that you're interested in baking trends, or knowing that you're interested in like what the chef in Portugal that's doing something in a 3 Michelin star restaurant is doing, like picking what really speaks to you and then following that. Like I think for me, something that I didn't think was something that I found interesting until I realized that I had bookmarked like 8 articles about it was like chefs that travel and come back and are completely influenced by where they went and then come back and have that culinary conversation in their own kitchens and say like I was super interested in this small town in Laos that I visited and using banana leaves, and then now I'm doing that in my restaurant in Brooklyn. Like that's wild, but that happens, and I think that I'm drawn to stories like that, and I think that's because I was always drawn to people who are creating things in their own cultures when I traveled.
That's wonderful.
But you definitely should all read Eater.
Eater's like
Eater's the thing to like stick to. Okay, that's good to know too.
Is it infatuational?
This is why we're laymen.
Yes, the infatuation is up there. It's a different kind of thing. I think that their editorial is not like what you're gonna
Fuck the
get.
infatuation. No, we don't want to.
Okay, one of the last things is like seasonal trends. What are some seasonal things going on right now? Because I feel like I'm still stuck in the 90s. I'm like shortbread.
That's a thing.
Oh, yes!
Alison Roman's chocolate chunk shortbread cookies are like the hottest thing of 2018.
Oh, yeah.
You did it.
Okay, shortbread.
And I think we talked about this a little bit, just like warming spices. I think people are like still really interested in cardamom, nutmeg, things that weren't always something that you would find in baked goods, but also cooking, are now really cool. So we have.
I think we're gonna.
Oh yay!
Leading question. We're gonna hand out some cardamom to smell. I had never smelled cardamom.
Clap your hands
and
if you
it's
know
shocking.
what cardamom smells like. Great. A good 7 people know what cardamom is. So now we're going to smell it and pass it around.
I'm curious, like, something that I'm always really curious about hot things in certain industries is like, how you be the first. Oh my god. Quick last question. It's like how to be. It's like you know that cardamom is a hot thing right now. What are some ways in which we can find out what is a hot thing right now?
Totally. Going back to three's a trend, I think that just seeing what other people are doing, something that I like to do is look at what my chefs and restaurants are doing, but then also look outside of our roster and be like, what are some other top restaurants doing in the city?
So it takes the time.
Take the time, the research, but also to just like go out and do it. Like, not saying that you need to eat at a 3 Michelin star restaurant every night, but just like go to your food cart and be like, okay, like I love that. Or go down the street and be like, Five Guys is still pretty stellar. So I'm gonna eat Five Guys and like see what I taste in that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.